Hey everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Okay, so let's discuss a really important topic that I really want to get into today because I think it's something that I've been holding back on a bit for a little while now because I've sort of been exploring different platforms online like TikTok and Instagram Reels for a little while now, and kind of like going between YouTube as well and really seeing what my favorite formats are in particular. But there's a few things that I've realized in the process of doing this that I want to chat about today, and I want to kind of express to you guys about why I think that YouTube is still so important in 2023 for content creators. And this is in regards to versus posting on Instagram or TikTok. So essentially this video is going to be about the long form platform versus the short form platform. And I want to talk about a few things today that I think are really important to note about both of these avenues and why you really should consider still pursuing YouTube as a content creator. So the first thing I really want to touch on today is that long form content can really create a longer term connection with people and an audience. And it's something that I think holds true for YouTube, even to this day. And when you really look at the evolution of YouTube and how many content creators have found success on the platform, they really do have dedicated audiences. They have long-term audiences. You know, there's quite often people, even on my own YouTube channel, where I still have people that will message me and be like, I've been watching your videos for like 7 years now. And that's crazy to me. That's crazy to think that they've stuck around that long. Obviously, not everyone sticks around that long to watch your content. And that's not to say that some people won't be watching short form content long term as well, or short term content creators, I should say. But I do feel like there's an element that is missing with short form content these days. And I think that element is that connection that is often made with YouTube audiences, for example, where the videos are longer, they often take a longer amount of time to create, there's more thought that goes into it, and there's a lot of different processes around long form content that I think make it a little bit more engaging as well in a better and more valuable way. And some of those things I'm going to touch on today as well. I think longer form content gives you a better chance to connect or resonate with someone because they've got those longer videos. They may be giving you more of a window into their lives, into their creations. If you're a content creator, like I said, if you're an artist or someone who enjoys sharing their work with the world, there's so many different opportunities, I think, on YouTube to do this in a creative way that involves longer content and really having to think more about capturing people's attention for a longer form video too. So that's why I think that there's also like a quality element to sometimes YouTube content over short form content all the time. Short form, I find, even for myself when I'm creating it, it feels more rushed. It feels more like I have to get the content out, and I'm not thinking too much about the quality side of things a lot of the time. And even when I've planned things to a T, even when I've planned out my whole week, and you guys know how much I love planners as well. So rest assured, a lot of this content is planned on my monthly planners and then my weekly and daily and all the rest of it. Even when I've planned so much of this out, I still feel there's an element of just it not being that quality that I want it to be. And I think because of the sheer push towards having short form content out on a daily basis, at times, it's really difficult to create that quality content and really stick with it for a long period of time. YouTube also has this issue, I guess, in the same sense at times, but I think there's more of a chance in some ways to have more quality control over YouTube videos as a whole. I also believe with YouTube, it's truly a creator's corner of the web. I think this is something really special too, because I think, of course, we all have our own little corners on TikTok and Reels and things like that, but not everyone actually stops to look at your profile. And when they do, there's really not much to it. You can do a bit of a feed scroll, of course, and you'll see other works and things like that. And I guess with Instagram, you do have that kind of aesthetic quite often that people tend to generate with their feeds. But I think with YouTube, you're not getting sucked in as much, but it's definitely more of a thought process that goes into behind watching some of these YouTube videos that you may be watching. It's not simply just to do with the algorithm. And I'm going to get into this a little bit more in this video as well. But what I'm essentially trying to say is it's not just a scroll and a like kind of platform. It's a little bit more than that. And something else that I want to touch on is that short form content platforms can be actually quite overwhelming to certain people. And I think I am one of those people. And this particularly happens with TikTok for me. I think the main thing that I dislike as a content creator about TikTok is that quite often I'm just thrown into an algorithm where I'm getting content and videos pushed at me. And even if I don't really want to watch these videos, my attention is still being grabbed, and here I am watching them even if I don't want to be watching them. Similar things can happen on YouTube YouTube, but really not in the same fashion. There's something that makes me feel like a zombie when I'm literally watching TikTok videos at times. And quite often time will go by, it'll be 2 or 3 hours and I've been sitting there looking at TikTok videos, and it is so easy for that to happen. And there's some sort of feeling of guilt quite often that I feel after watching short form content in that fashion too. I think as someone in the audience, there's something that's kind of unsettling about knowing that you've just spent the last 3 hours watching TikTok videos, just blindly swiping up and maybe even watching a lot of content that you never really wanted to watch in the first place, but it's been pushed at you. As an audience member in this sense, YouTube is kind of allowing you to think a little bit more about what you want to watch. Yes, they do have an algorithm that is going to push content at you, particularly content that you don't even really want to watch, but you kind of have to click on it most of the time before you get to that point. And you'll have to read the title, you'll have to look at the thumbnail, you'll have to consider in your mind whether that's something that you want to watch or not. And quite often, if there's something in that algorithm that I don't want to watch, I'll kind of roll my eyes at it and move on to the next video or move on to something that I do want to watch. And I think that that's the kind of nice thing about YouTube, is it's not just this kind of screen that's like pumping information at you constantly. And it's funny, out of all of the TikTok videos that I've watched probably in the last few weeks, I could only tell you the names of probably about 2 or 3 of the people that I've watched that have created those videos. And I don't know if this is just a personal thing or if this is something that's quite common amongst a lot of people viewing things on TikTok in that way. But on YouTube, it's completely flipped. I could pretty much name any channel or anyone that I've watched a video from in the last couple of months and be very confident in my choices of watching videos and why I've watched them, and kind of feel like I'm getting value from that platform. I wouldn't say I've gotten a whole lot of value from watching a lot of the TikTok videos, but hey, that is maybe because my algorithm is not pushing me the right content at the moment, and maybe because I've been watching it to excess. It could be either of those options, but I do think there is something to be said for YouTube in terms of, as an audience member, really watching the content and consuming the content that you want to consume. And now I want to just touch on quickly the money side of things. And I know it's not always the most important factor as a content creator, but I do think we need to also realize that in terms of YouTube versus Instagram Reels and TikTok, the payoff is usually going to be better with YouTube. And there's a couple of reasons for this. Now, obviously with short form content, there's less of an option to have a longer ad span, for example, or a longer sponsorship integration. There's really not as many options for that to happen on those platforms. YouTube, you have a lot more options for that to happen. So you can have longer sponsorships, like entire dedicated videos that really run for, 10, 20 minutes, as long as you want it to run for. You have like smaller integrations that you can just add in. There really is a lot more opportunities with that, even in terms of the AdSense payoff. And now, look, I'm not going to get into the fact that AdSense is probably still not that great in terms of a payoff, because I know personally, firsthand, from having AdSense for the last number of years, that it's not always the greatest. But having said that, in comparison to TikTok and in comparison to Reels, the payoff is usually a lot better. So I think that's something to consider as a content creator if you're looking at really making a full-time income off of this, is really looking into those platforms that are going to generate you more revenue and potentially more of a valued audience. And I do really believe that YouTube offers that sometimes over the short form content. But overall, I really feel like YouTube offers you a lot more ways to grow with your content online. I don't feel like you always have those options with TikTok and with the shorter form content. I think that sometimes it can be so short-lived, that content, that it doesn't really stay as a memory in your mind once you've left the platform. And I think that's really hard, as it's kind of those platforms that quite often, as a viewer going on those platforms, your attention span feels so short-lived. And quite often, I think that can be a problem for people that are really trying to generate a full-time income, or really trying to generate a valued audience online for what they're doing. But I think also something to ask yourself, and a question that I found really interesting to ask myself lately, is the content that you're creating on Instagram Reels or TikTok potentially going to be around in 10 years' time for people to continue watching? On the other end of the scale, will my YouTube videos still be around in 10 years' time for people to continue watching? And I think I already know the answer to that, because there are still people that are watching my videos nearly 10 years later after starting a YouTube channel. So I think that there's obviously going to be shifts over the years with platforms, with content, with the form of content, but I definitely feel that YouTube still plays a really, really big part in this. Oh, and something, of course, that I forgot to mention with YouTube being a really big plus is that you can really use SEO and search to your advantage with this. It's really hard. I don't know if anyone's ever tried to search for TikTok videos before or search for Instagram Reels, but it's really difficult to search for that content once you've lost it, if you haven't saved it. It's kind of like a good luck finding it again mentality. But with YouTube, you can really capitalize on SEO in particular, with tagging, with descriptions, with titles, with thumbnails. You know, there's so many things that you can do to make your videos searchable and to make that content valued even further down the track. And this is what I'm saying with, is a YouTube video going to be watched 10 years down the track? Well, we already know that that definitely can be the case. But in terms of Instagram Reels and in terms of TikTok, we don't really know at this point, but my guess at this point is probably no. So guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video on why I think that YouTube is still really important for content creators in 2023. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and let me know your thoughts on short form content. Do you feel like it's kind of overtaking the web at the moment? Do you think it's overtaking our lives a bit too much? Do you think we really need to pare back and really go back to certain roots with content creation and getting a little bit more quality in terms of too much quantity? I think that's a really big struggle for a lot of people these days. I know I definitely struggle with it from time to time, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and let me know what else you want to see on this channel, what other topics you want me to talk about. I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts. But thank you guys so much for watching this video again, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.